Alondra, okay. So you had a great opening to your speech. It's good. Your PowerPoint was beautiful. It was eye-catching. Um, you had good vocal, good use of gestures. One of the things was that you were uh, moving back and forth like this when you were talking. So be careful of that, because people get wrapped up into your movements and they don't hear what you're saying or don't see what you are trying to explain to them because they're focused on your nervosity. So you were doing this and rocking back and forth when you were presenting. So you want to be careful of that. Um, when I was looking at your your outline and trying to imagine hearing it while you were talking, sometimes I felt you just kind of ran into the next point, into the next point, into the next point, without really helping people to understand, for instance, that you're talking about food, and then you're talking about entertainment. Um, what I found was that you had a lot in your introduction, right? But then you went into entertainment, and that was your first one, which you talked about Los Angeles. You talked about Latino pride and the Mariachi Folklorico. Then you talked about food, but you only mentioned one thing, which was a salsa competition. And then in culture, you talked about two things, which was Brazilian Day and the Papel Picado workshop. So, Brazilian Day is an event, and it doesn't really talk about the culture itself. And it's not Hispanic heritage, it's Brazilian heritage. So, in the future, you've got to have three distinct pots of information, right? So you're going to talk about Hispanic Heritage Month. You could have talked about the history of it and why it's in September and October. You could have talked about the culture as it relates to celebrating and why we celebrate. And then you could talk about the events that are being held during Hispanic Heritage Month. I just felt you were talking more about events and not necessarily about why we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month and what are some of the aspects of it. So that would be the thing that I would say. So you've got to make sure you understand you have clear different main points. You just kind of felt like you were giving us a list of activities and events. Okay? All right.